Hey everybody, Sam Kavaris in the Nimnicht Chevrolet Video Sports Update. A bad loss for the Jaguars at 28-2 is the final. Good solid start and downhill from there. So what do you take out of this game? I'm sure when the coaches look at the tape and they decide what was good and what wasn't good, they'll see that in 9 of the last 10 possessions for Kansas City, the defense forced punts. I mean, that's pretty good. Obviously, Kansas City had the game in control and wasn't too worried about it, just trying to play a field position game. I think what Gus Bradley said, and I actually buy into that guys were just trying too hard, trying to do too much. And when you do that, when you got 11 guys who have assignments, then things can go haywire, and that's exactly what happened with the Jaguars. So you've got to figure that we've seen them play better in the preseason. We've seen much more talent when it comes to the way that they practice. There's no question about that. The offensive line clearly has to play better. They gave up 6 sacks, although some of those are Gabbard's fault. And I thought that the defensive line got pushed around a little bit, particularly early in the game. But remember, Kansas City did have like 7 Pro Bowlers last year, and the Jaguars had virtually none. So what do you take out of it? I think that the fact that they get this under their belts, they get behind them, they have a team that doesn't have a lot of experience, according to Gus Bradley, and that's where you get into trouble with guys trying to do too many different things. So we know that they're going to take their lumps. Bradley knows it, Caldwell knows it, and they've told Shad Khan that they're going to take their lumps as they try to rebuild and put some guys on the roster that have talent. This league is not about enthusiasm or scheme. It is about talent and execution. And the Jaguars need more of both, plain and simple. I wasn't a big fan of the game that Jedd Fisch called. I thought with a quarterback that has an ailing thumb and an offensive line that still try to gel together, that giving the ball to Maurice Jones-Drew, particularly early in the game, would have been a much better strategy instead of throwing it about 67% of the time. MJD finished with 15 carries for 40-some yards, and he said he was ready to carry it many more times than that. Nonetheless, this is a team, though, that is going to follow how Blaine Gabbert plays. And, you can talk about pressure or you can talk about lack of protection or some drops. There are just things that Gabbert does on the field that don't allow his team to either go to the next play or to advance. Quick feet and a sack instead of a little shuffle and throwing it out of bounds. Those are the kinds of things that a quarterback does to keep drives alive, to kind of keep it smart, to keep it going, and he doesn't seem to have that kind of possession. He didn't seem to have any mechanical problems with the thumb. We'll see how that laceration on his hand with the 15 stitches does affect his ability to produce this coming week. But nonetheless, he needs to play better, plain and simple. And I think he is capable of it, but we haven't seen that. And he is one of those guys, when things start going downhill, he's unable to kind of right the ship and drag everybody up with him. But isn't it fascinating how every franchise seems to have an Achilles heel somewhere? The Jaguars haven't had a really consistent and good quarterback since Mark Brunell. They haven't had a consistent pass rush since Clyde Simmons left here or Tony Bracken's retired. I mean, those are the kinds of things that seem to plague this franchise, that they need to take the time and rebuild and make sure that they're a part of the plus side of the ledger instead of liabilities that other teams can take advantage of. I'm Sam Kavaris, and that's the Nimnicht Chevy Video Sports Update.